This is Jeb Blunt, and it's Money Monday on the Sales Gravy Podcast.
Say, make money, money, make money, money, money. Make money, money, make money, money, money. Money makes the world go round. I'm the talk around town. Remy gave me the sound.
All right. It is Money Monday, and I'm back with a lesson to help you start your sales week strong, because how you start your week is almost always how you end your week. Did you know that we produce podcasts 3 days a week on Sales Gravy? On Mondays, we have Money Monday. On Wednesdays, people are calling it Wisdom Wednesday, but we take questions from you on the Ask Jeb podcast. And if you didn't catch last week's, you got to go check it out, because it's about cold calling CEOs. We've been getting tons of comments on social media and on Spotify. Go check it out. And by the way, if you like a podcast and you want to talk to me directly, leave a comment on Spotify and I'll respond to you. And on Fridays, we're dropping interviews with top thought leaders, with experts, with authors, with individuals who can give you insight on how you can sell more, win more, and earn more. So make sure that you're following the Sales Gravy podcast by clicking follow on your favorite podcast app so that you never miss an episode. Now, here's this week's Money Monday lesson. As humans, we naturally fear rejection and do everything possible to avoid it. We are social creatures at the core, and being rejected is to be shunned, to be banished, or to be kicked out of the group. In fact, the two biggest human fears are rejection and death. And as strange as this may sound, in our hearts, we fear rejection more than we fear death. This, by the way, is a huge problem in sales, because as a sales professional, it is your job to go out into the world and find rejection and bring it home. And even though objections are not really rejection, it can still feel that way. It is the fear of rejection that makes selling so difficult for most people, and why most people will never do your job. Sales is such a lucrative career choice for the simple fact that it is a rejection-dense job. And companies are willing to pay big bucks to rainmakers who have the ability to gain control over their emotions, face rejection head-on, and find a way to win. Now, the good news is that if you fear rejection and want to avoid it at all costs, the easiest way to do that is to never ask for anything. On the other hand, if you don't ask, you won't get. And you may be able to steer clear of the pain of rejection for a while, but sooner or later it will catch up with you when you find yourself unable to provide for your family, missing mortgage payments, working in a dead-end job, getting fired, or failing to reach your true potential. These things, I've found, hurt far worse over the long run than facing rejection. There's a verse in the Christian Bible, Matthew 7:7, that goes, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you." Now, I recognize that Jesus in this verse is not talking about sales, but he could be. Now, you'll often hear this simple verse expressed as ask and you shall receive. But if you think about that for a moment, you'll notice that asking comes before receiving. In other words, asking is the beginning of receiving. If you want something, you have to ask first. Far too often, we become rain barrels. We sit and wait. We hesitate and hope. We wish for our prospect or customer to do the job for us, but they don't, because it doesn't work that way. If you want to sell more and earn more, you need to ditch your wishbone and grow a backbone. It's up to you to ask. Asking is the beginning of receiving. Therefore, you won't get the appointment, next step, information, access to the decision maker, or a buying commitment unless you ask. And the truth is, on the other side of asking is always the potential for objections and rejection. There is always the chance you won't get what you ask for. That's how asking works. This is why the hardest part of asking is learning how to shut up after you ask, to allow the space for silence to do its work and for objections and questions to be put on the table. It's hard to shut up when you've put it all out there and left yourself vulnerable to rejection. In that awkward moment after you ask, the silence can be unbearable. It feels like an eternity as you brace for rejection. And to protect yourself, well, you'll start talking and talking and talking. Your brain gets diluted into believing that as long as you keep talking, your prospect can't reject you. And the problem is that in this moment of emotional weakness, you come across as insecure and untrustworthy. You introduce objections that didn't previously exist. Then you start blabbing on and on about features and benefits, terms and conditions, your hobby, your dog, or what you had for lunch, until your stakeholder, who was ready to say yes, gets talked into saying no by you. Your insecurity in that moment of vulnerability invited the rejection. So here is the most important rule of asking. After you ask, you must shut up. Despite the alarm bells going off in your adrenaline-soaked mind, despite your pounding heart, sweaty palms, and fear, you must bite your tongue, sit on your hands, put the phone on mute, shut up, and allow your prospect to answer. And sometimes they'll say yes, and sometimes they will reject you with a flat no. But most times, they'll say maybe in the form of an objection, a question, or negotiation. And it is here that you have the opportunity to turn that maybe into a yes, because objections are not rejection. Objections are a sign of confusion, concerns, the sorting out of options, risk aversion, cognitive overload, and the fear of change. Objections are a natural part of the human decision-making process. Objections are a sign that your prospect is still engaged and they just need your help to make a tough decision. And questions are not rejection. People often ask legitimate but tough questions that they need answered before they feel comfortable moving forward. Just confidently and calmly answer their questions, and you'll get the yes you were seeking. A negotiation, that's not rejection. Negotiation is a clear indication that your prospect is engaged and ready to buy. The door is open to a yes. All you need to do is walk through it, collaborate with your stakeholder, and gain consensus on a mutually beneficial deal. If you want to become a better closer and negotiator in situations like this, I want you to go read my book, Inked, the ultimate guide to powerful closing and sales negotiation tactics that unlock yes and seal the deal. Inked, that's I-N-K-E-D, is a comprehensive book that will teach you exactly how to improve your win rate. You can get Inked in hardcover, in ebook, or you can listen to the audio version on Audible or Spotify. Look, to be a rainmaker in sales, and for that matter, life, you must put on your courage boots, walk out into the world, and face rejection head on. Rather than running from it, you must go through it, over it, under it, or around it, whatever it takes to get a yes. What makes rainmakers unstoppable is their willingness to run headlong into rejection again and again with the enduring belief that they will always find a way to win. Before I wrap up, I want to give Rich Filler a quick shout out for writing a 5-star review for us on the Apple Podcast app. He writes that Sales Gravy is a way to stay on top of your game as a sales professional. And if you found this podcast episode valuable, if it connected with you, please do me a solid. Share it with 5 people you know who will benefit from hearing this message. And then take 3 seconds to leave a 5-star rating or review on your favorite podcast app. This is Jeb Blunt Sr. I'll see you next time on the Sales Gravy Podcast. And remember, when you're tired, when you're worn out, when you just want to quit, always make one more call.
Survival of the fittest, you can sink or swim. I've been broke, I ain't never going back again. I need some C-notes, some cheddar, and a stack of ends. I need a bowl of dough, I don't need no Facebook friends. I need a pack of them snaps, a handful of Fetty Wops, and rubber band on my greenbacks. Look, dawg, don't be playing with my paper. I need every red cent, that's why I brought my little scraper. Money, money,